Hello, one and all, and welcome back to League of Europe. And at last, the new season is upon us. We are here for Season 5 of LOE Division 2, the first round of the Championship, coming to you from the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria. My oh my, is this going to be a cracker. And so, to take you through the action, hopefully all the way throughout the season, it is myself, Daniel Horgard, taking you through D2 comps of the third season running, and joining me in the commentary box, I am very glad to announce, hopefully for the rest of the season, it is Aiden Carter. Aiden, how are you, man?
I'm doing really well, thank you. I'm looking forward to what is sure to be, I'm expecting a pretty crazy Austrian race. I think if any of these drivers saw the Divisions 1 and 3 and 4 races, they were a little bit chaotic, and obviously it's the first round of the season, so everyone's going to try and get that first impression in. So I'm expecting this to be more of the same.
Yeah, I think there's a fairly good chance of it going down that route. Of course, around this track, it is one of the shortest, by distance, it is the shortest, I believe, by lap time on the entire calendar. And so lap times around here are going to be remarkably close, especially in qualifying. You're going to be seeing that all the way through. Times for pole position, maybe in the kind of mid-twos, I'm expecting. Maybe drivers towards the low twos getting in there. A lot of the drivers have put in a hell of a lot of practice around this track. But it's a track that throws up a lot of close racing, and we are getting into it very early on here, beginning to load in. But Aiden, just touching on what we have on our hands tonight, we have an incredibly competitive grid, as we saw in pre-season in the two races that we had at Hungary and Mexico. I suspect, though, with a full week of preparation behind them, and the added pressure of a new round and a track like this, we could see this grid the closest it's ever been, and every position is going to be hanging on a knife edge here tonight.
It really is, and it's the really minute details around this track that are going to get you up the grid, basically, especially in qualifying, because there's only 10 corners on this track, maybe 7 corners that you really think about. The rest of the corners are basically kinks and straights, so there's so little room here for error. If you make a slight error at any point in this track, it could drop you a whole number of places. I know from the race that I just took part in Division 3, the top 13 in qualifying were separated by just under 0.4 of a second, which is incredibly close, and that is why a lot of people will have been sweating really this week to try and get as much time as they possibly can around this track. And yeah, it's going to be really crucial to get to the front of the grid, especially with the first lap around here. Turn 1 and Turn 3 at this track on the first lap do tend to have a massive concertina effect, so being right at the front of the grid is a real benefit around this track.
Yeah, turn 1 very narrow, and turn 3 very narrow and very. So you are going to be seeing a lot of cars bunching up through there, and of course everyone eager to make an impression. And on that first lap, everyone eager to try and make up some places early on. So yeah, certainly keep an eye out. Because you can see some changes of positions down there. And another thing about this track is that it throws up quite a lot of DRS action. There are 3 DRS zones in this track, going into Turn 1, Turn 3 and Turn 4. And so that means that the field is likely going to be very bunched up for a very long time out there on the circuit. But now we have a new season upon us, and in traditional D2 fashion, the first car out on track is the Alfa Romeo of QVR Packer. That's going to take a little getting used to, of course, newly signed by QVR. The American was often in it, first out there, bursting out the gates last season. I think we're going to get a good idea of how this track drives with the Alfa Romeo out there. Everyone getting on track early, eager to make an impression. This quali session will not only be a great indicator of where everyone stands, but it will also set the tone for this next season. With the lap times we know are going to be so close, we have a fascinating session upon us here.
We really do, and like I said, the minute details are going to be so crucial. And another thing to note here as well is traffic, because this track is so short in terms of time. Getting 20 cars out within basically a 1 minute window is incredibly difficult to do around this track, so don't be surprised if you do see people struggling with traffic in qualifying.
Yeah, keep an eye out then. Of course, just over 60 seconds is the lap around here. You're going to get evidence of it on these first runs out and qualifying. So QVR Packer barreling down towards the first corner. You can clip that curve a little bit on the inside, get away with it. Through the exit, short shift. Really difficult to find the traction actually, but he does manage it now. Sweeping through the left-hand kick of Turn 2. Nice and flat out, then getting onto the curb. You see some of the drivers doing that to open up Turn 3 at the hairpin. Again, short shifting again, having to balance that throttle pedal. That right foot is going to have to be disciplined for the drivers. And it's opening part of the lap, and then you're braking again into turn 4, into third gear. Sometimes you want to go in lower, maybe in the second gear, but Packer opting for traction through the exit, sweeping through the flat out turn 5, and then get into the high speed section of the track, starting with turn 6, running towards the white lane on exit, just keeps it balanced. 43.7, that's great pace going throughout the first two sectors, especially for a banker lap then. So Packer's on a good one. Can he see this one through? Now into turn 9, using the curb to turn in on the entry, lot of rotation in the car, able to sustain it, keep the car in the right direction through turn 10 as well. QVR Packer to the line. That's a storming lap to kick things off. I wonder 2.6 to get that session started. Slash Justin behind less than a tenth away, and you're going to see an absolutely furious flurry of lap times. Everyone trying to get on the board. Packer though on top for the moment. We're going to see if anyone can challenge that, but that's a great lap for Packer to start off with.
Yeah, really stunning banker lap. There was not really a lot of places where you could really see Packer finding any time. He's actually going again for another run. You might see this as well in qualifying. People do tend to put a little bit more fuel in and go for 2 laps because the soft tyres can hold on quite nicely, and Packer's actually slightly improved in the first sector. So we'll see if he can continue on that pace around the rest of the lap, or whether he dives into the pit lane. Milan has gone third, meanwhile, for IFR in the Haas. He's obviously a reserve, and he's jumped up to the front of the field, as he did in preseason races as well. Very strong qualifier is Milan. Maybe needs to convert it in the races. Spag has gone 6th for the Mercedes team as well. McCrass down in 10th at the moment, and Krico in 12th place, now as our Colo goes 3rd. And look at that, already we've got 4 people in the 1 minute 2.7s.
Yep, that is your evidence. You're going to see an incredibly close session here today, but who's going to get up the front of the grid then? I'm trying to see who's next up over the line. We're seeing some drivers breaking to an end at their first qualifying runs, calling it a day out there, and then they're going to go again later in the session. I think Rakurik, of course, who was demoted from the provisional D1 grid, having not turned up for pre-season, is going to be out there. And of course, defending champion, had such a stellar championship campaign last time out, but you said he's going to have a lot of competition as Yorno, D3 champion, goes into 12th position. But I sense that he's going to have a lot of competition retaining his title. That squad is so competitive, and as we mentioned, the smallest margins are going to make the biggest differences. Who knows who's going to win this championship? I think Rick is going to have an even stronger fight on his hands this season than he had last time out.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Rick is incredibly talented, but I think it's no secret as well that Division 2 last season, at least, it was a little bit up and down in terms of who was actually in the division at different points in the championship, which kind of helped recruit because you didn't really have more than 2 or 3 championship rivals at a time. This time round, I can see possibly 12 drivers going for the title this season, probably at least. So there's going to be a lot of competition. Meanwhile, a bit further down the field, Matt's invalidated his first one, but he did a 2.8, which would have put him, I believe, just behind Krico by a couple of thousandths of a second. J. Cole's on a lap, 43.9, but he's invalidated now as well. So that would have put him into the 1 minute 2s quite easily, but he's down at the moment at the back of the field. Obviously, winner at this track 2 seasons ago in Division 2. See if he can try and repeat the same form, having moved up to Division 3 last season. He's going on for another lap, and it was a 2.9 that time around, so that would have put him ahead of Spag and behind Krico into 8th place. So Matt and J. Cole at the moment on fairly similar pace, but they're both invalidated their first runs.
Yeah, and also I saw Jim, who of course a veteran of Division 1, now in D2 for this season, was on, actually I was watching his pace in the first 2 sectors, was actually pretty much on a par with Packer, but he just dropped it coming out that last corner, but he's also shown some very encouraging pace out there. I think at the moment we have pretty much come to an end with the first runs out there. Actually, I think Jekyll's still out there, but he has turned the engine down. So we are now getting into the mid-phase of the qualifying session, I'd like to say. So we're going to see some lap times coming in. I think MMA Slash is coming round now. Second at the moment. Good start to his session. We'll see what he can do now. The Williams over the line. Take us to the lap aid, and let's see if he can beat that current provisional pole time of QVR Packer.
Here we go, then up towards turn 1. Oh, a little bit wide of the apex there. Didn't quite get it turned in. You're seeing a lot of these drivers, like you said earlier on, moving over the curb on the left-hand side of the track for the braking zones as he heads through the kink of 2 up towards turn 3. Does the same again, but he's still found time in the first sector. So that is a good first sector from him. Already a 10th up. That could put him up to the front of the field if he can hold it a little bit squirrely on traction coming out of turn 3, which is very easy to do as he heads downhill now into turn 4. So easy to outbrake yourself into this corner because of the downhill section. Lock up for Slash, but he gets the car turned in nicely. Doesn't use all the road on the exit of the corner. Wants to get to the right hand side as quickly as possible. It's got a little bit of traffic in skies in front that might affect him just a little bit through turn 6. I think he's gotten away with it, but he's lost time in the middle part of the lap. He's down almost level, and that's a big slide through 7 and through 8, and that's into the barriers. Lucky to get away with minimal damage, but that is so easy to do around this track. I'm just going to go back on board with Packer, who's the next person on a lap. He's coming into the last sector. He is still going. I don't think he's up with his time as of yet as he comes through the final sector, but nice and neat through turn 10 as he comes up to line. Can he extend his time at the front? Yes, he can. By half a tenth of a second, is into the 2.5s, and he's already nearly got a 2/10 advantage at the front of the field. So far, Packer's come out the gates flying.
He is looking on top of the rest of the field at the moment, and absolutely storming pace so far from QVR Packer. There's also improvements there. Gary displaced by Larkin, who replaces him. He gets up into P4 with a 108.7. We're still seeing some lap times creeping in. Milan's just come over the line. He is starting another flyer out there. I think QVR Nico now coming up there. He goes into 9th position. It's incredibly close, incredibly competitive behind Packer, but Packer himself quite a ways up the front, given it's Austria, so he's looked stellar so far out there. But we have a lot more competitive lap times, I'm sure, to be coming in. Who's going to be next up to put down a time, I wonder. I think it's going to be one of the Renaults there. That's Skyzy, but he has backed off on his lap, so he is not going to be improving. He's going to go again. And so you are seeing here some drivers struggling to get some valid lap times in, and that's a key thing with this track. You know, it's maybe not the most difficult track technically on the calendar, but keeping it between the white lines, especially when you're pushing to the absolute limit as quick as you can possibly go, is very, very difficult. And we're seeing these drivers invalidating their laps, making some mistakes, and maybe not achieving their potential. So Packer, who has nailed those laps, is on top. But I don't think that's entirely representative. I still think there's a lot of competition that's going to come charging at him in the back half of this session.
Yeah, one person who did exactly what you just said was Dylan, was riding on board with him towards the end of the lap, invalidated on the exit of turn 9, which is so easy to do. The lap time was a 2.6, so that would have put him on the front row, so that's a shame that he's invalidated right at the end of the lap. I think that's Zaldimer that's just gone up into 13th place on a 13 flat, and Mikras has gone back into the top 10 with a 2.8, so that's him up with his teammate a little bit further, a bit closer to his teammate this time around. We've got the Red Bulls coming to the line now. I think it's going to be Matt coming first, and he does. He goes P6 then, 1,000th of a second slower than Milan, and 1,000th of a second faster than Larkin. That is incredibly close, and he is 12 thousandths behind Gary, 4th down to 7th, separated by less than 200ths of a second. That is incredibly close. We've got 2nd to 7th all in the 2.7s.
Absolutely remarkable scenes. And next up over the line, XLJ Cole, no lap on the board yet, goes up to 8th place, just behind his teammate, and yet that's another one to join the club then. I don't think it's going to be the last in this session either. One of the Mercedes, that was Spad coming to the line, goes 12th on a 102.8, a 102.8 only good for 12th in this session. 3/10 off pole is only good for 13th, actually, sorry, correct me, 14th at the moment in this quali session. That is the extent of the competitiveness then, and so Excel Nuno invalidated out the last corner. He would have put himself onto the second row, but it's not to be as Carrico goes up the top then on a debut. Really impressing, and at the moment the Alfa Romeos really shining through here. Of course, I believe that Carrico is a reserve, but there are 1 and 2. They're looking so impressive in the early stages here. We're about 10 minutes in, got about 8 minutes to go left in qualifying here, but we are still to see some lap times coming in. Arcolo, Packer, they're both coming through. They're just starting laps. It's difficult to keep up with everything, Aidan, because the lap times come in so fast, that a track's so short, and everyone looking to make an impression. The lap times coming in so quickly, who knows what's going to happen? It's so unpredictable out there. This order could be completely flipped on its head in these last 7 minutes.
Yeah, everyone's still got time for another 2 runs in this session if they can get out about now, so we've still got plenty of opportunity for those guys to do laps. Slash is going to be the first person to complete his 3rd lap in qualifying, so him and Packer really going for 4 runs, really trying to get out as early as possible onto the track. I didn't quite see what Slash's first sector time was, but we'll see his middle part of the lap. Turns in very early there for turn 6, but gets the car through the corner nicely, and he's a little bit up this time around, so can he get a bit closer? Can he get back onto the front row? It's not quite fast enough to challenge Packer, but look at that, all the way to the right-hand side of the track. Coming up towards turn 9, dives it to the corner, keeps it in 7th gear. Does he keep it on the road in the last corner? A little bit of understeer, but it's nice on the exit. Can he get back on the front row? He goes pole. Wow, a brilliant final sector from Slash. Packer, though, a 2.3. What a lap from Packer. I thought that Slash had got that in the bag, but Packer from nowhere, a 1 minute 2.3. That's a stellar lap time.
That is stunning. That's only 2/10 off of the Division 1 pole time. That is incredible. We're only at the midpoint of the session. Larkin as well improves. He goes up in a third place. What competitiveness in the early part of this session. Gary, Nico, the two McLarens, they're just starting a lap time. And so we're going to look, I believe, to Rakurik, who is probably looking at this grid so far, thinking, oh my, I have a tough task on my hands of defending my title. Packer is coming storming out the gates here. I'm still reveling over that lap time at 102.3. Absolutely stunning, and he still has another chance to improve on that. Wreck to the line, only a 103.2. Wow. He's not quite recapturing the pace that we saw from him often throughout last season, and he's going to have a real tough task on his hands then. And so we are transitioning the last phase of qualifying, I suspect, coming up relatively soon. I'm not sure who's going to be the next driver over the line. No one has just dived to the pit lane behind. I think it's going to be one of the Mercedes, maybe Dylan, near dead the track. He's actually only about a couple of tenths off of pole position pace throughout the first two sections. That's going to be solid then from XL Dylan coming through. Where does he go from last to 7th? So good lap there from Dylan, and again, another member of the 102.7 club is welcome then. He pops himself right in the mix, and we have a thousands between himself and Milan, and another thousands to Matt behind. What on earth is happening? This field is so competitive, but the only constant so far seemed to be the relentless pace of QVR Packer, and at the moment, no one so far has been able to get near his times at any point throughout the session. He's been storming clear at the moment. Can he hold on to it in these last 5 minutes?
I really did think in the second run of qualifying that while it was a good lap from Packer, I did think we were just waiting for everyone else to set their competitive times, but that third run was something else. June crosses the line, invalidated again, and it was a 2.6, so that would have at least put him on the second row with the grid. So another invalidation of June, currently down on a 1 minute 4.6 in last place. And last season's champion is 19th on the grid, and the slowest of the drivers that have set a competitive time. That is a turn up for the books at the moment. One of the Haas cars, meanwhile, coming across the line. I think that is Milan coming to side a lap. It is. He's going for another run, currently 8th on the grid. This is a really topsy-turvy grid. We've got a lot of drivers towards the back of the field that have incredible pace. It's so close throughout the field that, like I said earlier on, a minute mistake can cost you a whole number of places, as I think that was Gary improving up to 4th on a 2.6, so he's gone back to the front of the field. He was a constant at the front in the preseason, and again he's up in the top 4 here, and Noon goes P6 in the Ferrari. So good thing for Gary at the moment is that he's still right at the front of the field.
Yeah, Gary putting himself in the mix, and Nunes will improve to 6th. But Krigo New is flying again. Really impressing so far. Coming through the last corner now. Where does he go? It may at least be second place, I think. No, it doesn't quite come through. He lost time in that last sector, and it's only 4th position on the 102.5. Still very competitive then. These guys all going to have to be on their A games out there. Milan, I was watching, he backed off a flying lap. McCrass is still going. He's fractionally up on his time through the second sector, but he has yielded to it. He has gone off then at the end of it. So now I think we're at that transition point, Aidan, going into the last part of the session. Everyone concluding their third runs and now going out to their fourth run. So a lot of drivers on outlaps, a lot of drivers in the pits. We're now going to see that change in strategy, that change in pace in the session. I think Matthew 40 might be the only driver on a flying lap at the moment. Coming through now is the Red Bull. We'll see what he's able to pull off then in the back half of this lap. The order could be flipped entirely on its head in this last part, but we know the pace that Matt has. He has pulled it off so often in the past, and he is over a 10th up then. Even a 10th is putting you a bit higher up the field then. That could be putting him at least towards that top 6 on the grid, and he's 10th in the moment. Can he continue pulling through throughout this last sector? Now attacking in a turn 10. Does he keep it valid? Yes, he does. The Red Bull cruising up towards the line. He does go into thick position then, just behind Gary in that region of the field. But Aiden, who knows what these last 2 minutes are going to have to offer? We're going to see so many lap times coming in. Can Packer hold on to it though? So far, he's had every answer to everyone else and what they've had to throw at him in this session. Can he see it through for 2 more minutes and take a critical pole position to open up the season?
It's going to be one hell of a lap from anyone that needs to try and beat that. Nolan's crossed the line meanwhile. He's gone P12 in the Williams on a 2.7, another member of the 2.7 club, and he's at the bottom end of it. That's the difference between him being 12th and 7th on the grid. It's less than a 10th. That is incredibly close. Someone crashed, I think, coming out the last corner. That might have been one of the Haas cars, I think. I think it was Milan that lost the car, so he's not going to be improving on 10th place in this session. I don't know who's going to be next across the line. I think that might be one of the AlphaTauris maybe coming to start a lap, or is it Arcolo finishing? No, it is it is June coming to start a lap. So I think the next person to cross the line is going to be Yorno, currently 18th on the grid. Last season's Division 3 champion. He's slightly up in the middle part of the lap. Can he find anything in the final sector to get him anywhere close to the top 10? He comes up towards the line, keeps it valid, and it's a 2.9, but it's only 16th on the grid for Yorno with a 2.9. That's how competitive this field is. And now we just wait, I think, for the rest of the field to finish their final runs. Pack across the line didn't improve.
Oh, well, he's still got enough ERS to go around for another down the line. We're going to see a flurry of lap time. It's going to be difficult to keep up with the events. Here at the back end, the qualifying to the line. Larkin, he's invalidated on his lap. He's going to go again. His teammate Jekyll is just behind him, coming through now. 11th at the moment, but he's also backed off. He's going again. So who's going to be next up? I think Arcolo is round to the line. He isn't again backed off. So a lot of drivers being quite hesitant. I think that was Nico who just improved. Went into P8. His teammate Gary has come through then. He is starting off a flying lap then in this final phase of qualifying. This is such an unpredictable story we have out there. Jim to the line. He as well doesn't improve. So a lot of drivers backing off of their laps, trying to go again here. Who's going to be next up then to step up to the plate? MMA Slash, second at the moment. He needs to find about 17 thousandths of a second if he wants to get pole position. He's right on the limit, but he's running out of VRS, running out of deployment. He improves, but he doesn't improve enough. And he's just under 10 shy as Packer goes even quicker at the front. Absolutely remarkable stuff. It's a minute improvement, but that man will save him. Who's going to be next up? Gary. No, Gary has gone off that lap then. I think we have one of the racing points now to the line. Is that Larkin? It is Larkin, but he doesn't improve. Stays in that third position, but he can be relatively happy with that. He can try and carry that forward. So next up, who is that going to be? Coming through to the line, and Arcolo's backed off. He's not improving. So next up, one of the Ferraris. XL Lune is also invalidated. You can see how difficult it is to stay between these two white lines here at Austria. But who next is going to come through? I think Jim's coming up to the line. This time it's an improvement. Goes up to 7th. Much better from Jim, and he's level on time with XL Noon out there. So you can see these drivers all tying up on time. So who is next up? I think was just Slash that's out there on the track, but he's backed off. I think at last that is going to be it. And Packer took pole possession, and dare I say it, he never looked like losing it. Packer on pole. What a crushing way to kick off his season.
At every single point in qualifying, Packer was on pole position. From the first run, no one took it off of him. That is incredible time. The only time he lost pole position was to Slash, and he immediately retook it again. That is a stellar front row from Packer and Slash. Larkin up there in third as well. Creco on debut as a reserve, 4th place. And Alfa Romeo must be licking their lips after qualifying. That was brilliant for them. 1st and 4th on the grid. Towards the back of the field, though, there are some major names. Only one person did make it into the 1-minute twos, and that was Zaldimer, last on the grid, having been on the podium, I think, in both of the pre-season races, if I remember correctly. Yorno at the back, and Spag at the back as well, along with Skyzy and Rikurik.
Wow. That is stunning. Such are the tiny margins that you're going to see throughout this season. Packard and Slash, though, dare I say it, looked to have a bit of an edge on the rest of the field all the way throughout. The rest of the field, though, my oh my, were they close. Larkin, third place. Brilliant debut from Preco up in 4th. He's made a statement for the rest of the season. Gary, who really impressed in the preseason, he ends up 5th from Matthias in 6th place. Jim in 7th, just about managed to pull a lap in at the end. Noon is 8th from Nico and Arcola rounding out the top 10. Locked in on the soft tyre. Free choice of tyres for Dylan, Milan, J. Cole, Nolan, Mikras, Rikurik, Skyzy, Spag, Yorno and Zaudema. And that's some of the drivers that were in the hunt for top 5 in the standings in the bottom 5 here in qualifying. It's been dramatically mixed up. Less than 7/10 from first to last. Game on, I say, Aidan Carter. This is going to be a stunning race.
I'm not going to make any predictions before you even try and ask me that question. I cannot. That is incredibly close to that qualifying. Oh, and it's a bit cloudy in the race. So I'm wondering if it's going to is this going to be a weather-affected race? I wonder. It might not be. Just based on the pace we saw in qualifying, it might not be a weather-affected race, or it might be slightly affected towards the end. But colder conditions could be a little bit of a struggle on track, especially around a circuit that is so little on grip in terms of traction zones as well. And we were saying earlier on about Rikurik coming into this season is going to have a real challenge on his hands trying to defend his D2 crown. I don't think even he was expecting, though, to be 16th on the grid, having won the season last time around. That is a real turn-up for the books for the rest of the D2 field.
I can't exactly remember what the pole time was last season, but it certainly wasn't to the level. I think that the drivers that finished low down the field in that qualifying session would have been up near the front last season. Just a
I
testament to how
think
much detours moved forward. Sorry, Aidan?
I think I was going to say that D1 pole position last season, if I remember correctly, was a 2.4. So if Packer set that lap time in D1 last season, he would have been on pole position in Division 1 last season. That just goes to show how much everyone has improved in the off-season.
Everyone has put everything into this event, and you're going to see that in full force here in the race today. Looking for some tyre strategies, though, outside the top 10, of course. They have free choice of tyres. Dylan, Jekyll, Rakurik, Skyzy, Spag, Yorno, Zedema all going for the medium compounded tyres, and Milan, Nolan and McCrass going for the soft compounded tyres. It's not the highest egg circuit here in Austria. You can get away with being pretty aggressive on the tyre choices, but interesting to see most of the drivers going for a bit of an alternate strategy. Do you reckon it's a medium to soft strategy? Do you think that's feasible if you have fresh tyres to kick off the race?
It fully depends on your setup, I think. I think you can get a medium soft strategy to work, but you're going to have to get those medium tyres to lap 21 at the very least to get those softs to the end of the race. After that, if you pit any earlier than that, it's going to be a real struggle to get the softs to the end. You can do a soft medium around this track as well, but the same way around, really. You have to get the softs to about lap 15 to even think about making that strategy work. So it all depends whether you've gone aggressive for your setup or whether you've gone safe for tyre preservation.
Well, we'll see how these different the difference in setups going to affect things, and also drivers might go more qualifying biased. When the margins are so small, believe me, that's made a big difference to the grid. I'm not going to put you on the spot with predictions, as you've already attested to that, and I don't think I want to be in that position either. So I think we're just going to let the race unfold. 35 people watching the start of this race. That's absolutely phenomenal. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to kick off this season. It is going to be a cracker, and now the rear of the field is going to settle. We've waited an awful long time to get back to LOE racing on a competitive scale, but now we are just seconds away from making that a reality. Yet again, Packard slash the front row. Who's going to lead it going into turn 1 as we build up to the grid? We have 5 lights. A long hold, but Season 5 is on the way for Division 2. Who's got the best start from the front? Looks like Packard's going to convert it. Moves across on Slash, and he's going to lead it into the first corner. Launch for the back there from Krigo, getting up and alongside Larkin, and ran way into turn 1 there. And they're going to go almost wheel bumping down the road towards turn 3. You can see as well Gary almost making 3 wide, but Packard is stretching clear at the front with Slash and Hopper. Soon they're going 3 wide in the background. Contact! Krigo taps Larkin, and they all queue up down there. The hairband, there must be damage down there. I think that was Kriegel getting a bit too over ambitious. Now Gary drawing alongside and almost through down the back straight, gets that position in a turn 4 in front of Kriegel. There's a lunge for the back from Excel Noon as he tries to draw alongside Matty U40 as they run parallel going into turn 6. The Red Bull holding the inside line, getting alongside the Alfa Romeo as well, gets pitched on the inside line, and Rowney outside Noon trying to reclaim that position, sweeping through at turn 7. Can he get through? Yes he can. The Ferrari is up into the top 5. What a manic start here in the Austrian Grand Prix. They're all trying to sail into the light, going through the last 2 corners, but they're still jostling back there, even further down the field. Arcola pushing his way past Nolan over the line, as now Packard's dropped off my my Delta. I think he's just about got away with it. I think that's a graphics glitch. But at the front, after all that battling in the midfield, Packer and Slash are completely checked out. They've got a huge gap over the rest of the field. They're still dueling away all of the way through, going down towards turn 3. When a manic start to this race, I'm seeing Nico and lining up. I think that's Milan in the background. They're all jostling for possession down there at turn 3. What a start for Packer and Slash. A dream run at the front. They're near over 2 seconds clear at the back of the field already.
That is a brilliant start for Packer and Slash. That is a dream. We know how powerful DRS is around this track, and be able to break that immediately has worked beautifully. I will say Packer, you can tell, is pushing, because coming out of turn 1 he was already derating. He's used a lot of DRS in the first lap just to try and break away from the rest of the field. It's worked nicely so far. Gary has got a massive task on his hands if he wants to close in on the 2 in front. Further down the field, Dylan's the only real medium runner that's been able to hold position in 11th place at the moment. He avoided all the carnage, stayed well out of it coming up towards turn 3 and got away with it. Across the line, Slash with a 6.1 is the fastest lap of the race. I don't think anyone is going to get close to that after that battle we saw throughout the lap. And Yorno's already into the pit lane for damage, so Yorno seems to be the one that wasn't able to get away with it.
Yeah, absolutely horrid start to his Division 2 campaign then. But a dream start for Packer and Slash. Gary trying to go with him. He's got, as you said, a mammoth task on his hands if he wants to bridge that gap. Greco New still holding on in 4th place, but he's coming under a bit of pressure from behind. XL Noon is right on his tail, but I don't think he'll be close enough to go for the move. No one wants to go too ambitious and lose their front wing so early on in this new season. You can see them all filtering into light. Dylan, though, made a great start for those mediums, and now you can try and stay in contention, try and make that alternate strategy work. There's some oversteer, I think, further down the field. Everyone so close, so competitive, as I think we're seeing there. It's Matthew 40 who's honing in on XL Noon. They're all bunching up behind Krigo, and it's Gary who's beginning to check out as well in 3rd place. So the top 3 beginning to break away this early on in the race. Their pace looking phenomenal out there, as Gary benefited because Larkin and Krigo got that incident down there at the 3rd quarter of the race. Slash, though, coming back towards Packer. He's got a bit more ERS as well. These guys have a bit of leeway to duel, but they don't want to battle too hard as Milan gets a penalty already in the race. So early doors, you do not want to be getting penalties at this stage. I think Dylan's been an hour. He's gone round into turn 1, and Dylan dropping it right to the back of the field. It was briefly in a championship fight throughout last season. Absolutely horrid luck, and now he's going to have to recover from the back of the field. Torrid luck for Dylan. He's going to have a huge task on his hands if he wants to fight back now.
And he was in such a good position as well, the lead medium runner. That is such a shame. We've got side by side in the background. That's Nico trying to go for a move on Milan here. I think actually Milan maybe trying to go for a move on Nico around the outside of turn 4 down towards turn 6. Milan's got the inside line. I don't think Nico's going to be able to fight that. He's trying to hold it, but there's just not enough grip around the outside. But that's allowing June to get up the road ever so slightly. You don't want to break DRS around here. That can cost you so much time. Krico definitely seemed like the kind of driver that has gone for maybe a quality setup and doesn't look as comfortable in race conditions so far. But I will say what Krico has done is he's saved up a lot of ERS compared to Gary in front. So if Gary does make a slight mistake, or if Krico gets anywhere near, Gary will be easy meat for the Alfa Romeo driver.
And he's closing in already then. He sense he was holding back on that last lap. Fast lap from across a bit further down the field then. So this train, 3rd place, is still running at decent pace. A Slash getting a little bit closer to Packer up the road. Not going for the move just yet. Packer gets some really nice traction coming off of turn 3, and I think he's going to live another day up at the front of the race. Are we going to see any changes further down the field though? Gary holding on strongly in that 3rd place at the moment, but he's going to struggle to shake these guys now. The DRS is now in full flow, and you said that this pack is not going to bunch up anytime soon. I think Dylan got some damage there, because he is now going onto the softs, committing to a 2-stop strategy, and his race seemingly unravelling at such an early point. You have to feel for XL Dylan, who of course got his maiden race win, not his maiden race win last season, but a rare race win for him, given the pace that he's shown, and he's had a tough time of it so far in this race as well. But still, from 3rd all the way down to 17th, still running in that DRS train, and still the battle for the lead is on. And Packer has used a little bit more ERS, no getting a penalty as well. So the penalty is going to make a difference in this race. Evidently, they're going to be picked up on a rather consistent basis, I feel. As I saw Krigo, he did get quite close to Gary. The breakings over turn 1. Didn't get the best exit though, and now he's going to have to look out from behind again. Slash closing in on QVR Packer. The move not coming through just yet. Overtaking is difficult round here if you are running in the DRS train, as these guys all are. You can see them all holding that line, but Noon is shaping up a move on the Alpha of Krigo, but he doesn't look to get through. As now Larkin as well, chasing down Matthew 40. Look at the outside line in a turn 4. Matt though will cover the line, running out wide though, and now Larkin gets back underneath now, going through turn 5. They're side by side again. Who's going to come in on top here? Larkin trying to run round here into turn 6. He's going to commit to it, but Matt will cover him off. I just keep a hold of that 6th place. Nico Reed passed me cross in the background, so those guys are going back and forth, jostling away. But I think that Noon is showing some really good pace in this pack there, because Krico has been a bit epic and flowing going with Gary, but Noon has been so consistent so far and chasing down the 4th place Alfa Romeo. He looks to have some strong pace. Can he consolidate that and try and get up to the front of the train and tackle Gary in that battle over P3?
Yeah, he definitely looks like the person in that top 10 that wants to get a move on. He's definitely been all over the back of that Alfa Romeo since the start of the race, and hasn't used up his ERS trying to do so. He got a great run there, though, coming on towards turn 3. He's using his ERS once again. Krico's using his to try and defend, but in turn he might end up catching Gary into the braking zone, and there's a little bit of contact between the two. Krico loses the rear of the car, gets away with it, and J. Cole in the background, meanwhile, is trying to make moves with Arcolo, actually. I think Arcolo trying to get the move done on him at turn 3, but can't get past. Krico is safe in 4th place for the time being, but that goes to show a slight mistake on the brakes. Oh, June's, yeah, off at turn 4. That's such a shame. He's got away with no damage by the looks of things, and he can rejoin the queue. But from a top 10 position, Doom is down to 17th on an old set of softs. That is a disaster for him. He's going to have to think maybe of an undercut to try and get him back inside this race. One thing I was going to say, J. Cole on those medium tyres is looking very strong at the moment. He's not lost pace of the drivers in front. He's doing a good job, so he could really play a factor later on.
Yes, certainly, but yeah, Jim, I think what happened to him was he braked very late and had to avoid running into the back of the cars ahead. It's very sportsmanlike, but he may have been caught out by that, and has dropped from the mid to front of the train to further back in it. He's not going to be happy at all. Noon again, getting close to the back of Krico, but Krico seems to be wise with his ERS and is covering him off at all opportunities. He's chasing down Gary, but he will hesitate from the move, and again Noon gets incredibly close going into the hairpin, and he does get some good traction, does the Ferrari, and I think he may be going for it this time. So Noon in the slipstream, but Krico has phenomenal straight line speed and just pushes off the overtake as if the threat was never even there. He does run wide though, going to turn 4, will cut it back in front, but the Ferrari's taking the opportunity, round the outside of turn 5, down the inside of turn 6, can Noon get through there? They're sweeping wheel to the turn, but round the outside, Krigo trying to hold on to it, they are still battling away, going to the nail board in a turn 7, but Noon's going to get through in a bad exit for Krigo's going to put him under attack, because now Matt running round the outside, not in a turn 9, they're going to go side by side. Matt had to get out of that one, he did not want to run round the outside there, he was going to get squeezed out there. Krigo holds on to it, but he did lose out then, that little mistake costing him dearly. And it has bunched up the pack behind him. Matt right on him, Larkin right with it. And now Nico repassing Milan. These two still going back and forth. Milan runs it back when he's in turn 1. There's contact between them. And they emerge from turn 1. Still side by side. And McCross trying to get through as well. He gets past his teammate. And now he's looking at the McLaren. Looks to the inside line. He's going to break pretty late, but not late enough. And now McCross under pressure from Milan, who tries to run around the outside. Jacob's in there as well. This battle, this train is manic, they're fighting for it, but at the moment their pace is not to the level of the top two, and Packer and Slash running in formation, not battling with each other as the guys behind them are, as Dylan's there out the race. That's in the pit lane, he's had enough in the early point of this Grand Prix, but just back towards the front of the race, as actually no, we'll cut further back as Jacob and Milan are side by side now, going to turn 7, the Haas has the high ground, the Haas has the possession with a bit more tire grip, will fend off the intentions of XL. Jacob behind us, I think no one's gone off, no one down there, turning and spinning the Williams out to the back of the field. Krigo gets a penalty, Aiden Carter, the action is phenomenal out there, we don't know where to look because everything is going on as it stands there. Packer and Slash leading, Gary slowly dropping back at Noon's pace now being rewarded, he's going to try and wrestle that third place off the McLaren now as he has the RS. Is he going to go for it in a turn 3 though? He's chasing it down towards the corner, puts the overtake on, Noon to the inside line, gets his nose in front, breaks later, is he going to get it stopped and turn in? He's going to run wide, and now Gary gets back up and alongside for the traction, the momentum is with Noon on the outside, he'll cruise through, Milan getting past Jekyll again, fending off his intentions now. Marcolo is looking at Jekyll, my the action out there on track, Marcolo round the outside, gets his nose in front, Jekyll breaking late, staying in it, getting up and alongside him, and round the outside, the AlphaTauri trying to get through. We're on the 10th lap, and it feels like we've had about 25 laps of action. Now, battling in a turn 7, Arcola with the inside line, can he see that one through? Jacob trying to run it all the way around, he's on a turn 7, can he get that one done? Yes, he can, I think he does anyway. Jacob gets through, superb defence of that 11th place, and now the leaders into the pit lane. Aiden, what on earth is going on in this race? I can't keep up with it all.
This is absolutely insane. Really clean racing from everyone, but it is so close. And like you say, two leaders are into the pit lane. So is Packer able to hold on to his lead coming out of the pits as they come now? I think he's just about held on to it by the looks of things. He has, and they are going to come out, I think, in some nice clean air. They've only got really Zaldama right in front, and Zaldama has just been left by this train in front. He dropped out of DRS and has lost it. Meanwhile, Larkin and Matt are going side by side, I think they're for 5th place, and Larkin for 4th place, sorry, and Larkin stays in 4th for the time being then. Noon into the lead of the race, and you've got to say Noon at the top, those drivers in that queue, he did look like the faster of the two of the drivers there, so he's trying to get a move on now, trying to close in on Slash and Packer, who have really, after that first lap, just driven away from the rest of the field. And one thing to note now, Packer, I think, has broken DRS range to Slash quite easily, so that could put Slash under pressure if he can't get back within that range.
Yeah, really beneficial there for Packer, that pit stop period was. Now we're seeing the race leaders again coming into the pit later. We're going to get a good indication there, as I think, yeah, that's Matt staying out there on the track. so he's going to go on and take the race lead. But my oh my, this battle has been electric, and Noon looks to have the pace, but he's being held, I think, because the train's all coming through in the Ferrari. Held up, he's emerging side by side with the AlphaTauri pulls in, but Noon losing out big time with that pit lane. He is still going to be at the head of the train, I think, because the swap has been immense. Gary's lost out, Krico and Larkin both jump, and the order's been shaken up dramatically, as now an undercut from Nico is going to see him pass virtually all of them. We didn't even clock back Bakumi or Nico, now running in a net P4. What a stunning strategy from the McLaren. He's jumped from the mid part of the train to the front. He now runs in 12th place. What a great strategy call from Nico. He's jumped a whole heap of possessions here.
That is brilliant from Nico. I completely missed it as well. I didn't even realise he went into the pit lane, but he's gone from 10th, I think, to a net 4th place. That is a massive gain. And like you said, everyone was held in the pit lane. Noon was held, but so was everyone else, so he's lucky to get away with it. But he is now 5 seconds behind Slash, who is nearly 1.5 seconds behind Packer. So Packer's lead just continues to extend as Milan's now into the pit lane. Matt staying out. So by the looks of things, I think Matt is going to try that soft-medium strategy. He's the only one going for it because Doom's into the pit lane as well. Matt, I mean, fair enough, he's in the middle of a queue, but it's really difficult to overtake it. He may as well go for something different.
Yeah, he's going to try and move forward, and you can see hard tires going on for Milan and for Jim as well. And those guys are going to drop a bit further down the field, I imagine. Milan, we'll see where he emerges a bit further up. He's going to come out very close to Gary, actually, but running very close to the pit wall on exit is going to give up that position to the McLaren as Noon now has benched that DRS. Nico behind him, so he can try and get on with it. Krieger, though, is coming at the Spaniard, looking to the inside line, but will not go for it just yet. Packer will pass Zanima, by the way, on the last lap, and he's looking good for a race victory as it stands, but my oh my, can so much change. Now Larkin is attacking Krigo, has the overtake on, and is charging towards him, towards turn 4. Krigo moving to the inside line, but Larkin is brave on the brakes, getting up and alongside. They're almost touching wheels going through turn 4. Does Larkin seize the advantage? Yes, he does. Larkin, a great opportunistic and brave move, getting up into 11th place, chasing down Nico. He's driving very solidly out there. Matt comes in. You sense that he stayed out much longer. He's got to go for the mediums, but you sense that getting those tires to the end is going to be quite a task for the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, from this point onwards, end of lap 13, I think that's too early. I think Matt had to go another couple of laps to really make this strategy work. No doubt he will be incredibly fast, but he's really going to struggle unless we get a safety car at the end of this race. And look, the cube is just funneling past down the pit straight. There goes Gary past him. Milan's going to jump him here. McCrass, I think, is not quite going to get there up towards turn 3, but Matt has dropped well down to the back of the queue. And the problem is, with being on these medium tyres, is that it's still going to be a problem for him to get through this field, as now Gary goes for a move on Krico down towards turn 3, puts him on the curb, gives him just enough room, but Krico can't get the power down because of that, and he falls another place on these hard tyres. Krico not quite looking as confident as it stands, and McCrass actually did get the move done on Matt in towards turn 3, so Matt's really going to struggle to get through this queue whilst everyone is still within DRS range. Meanwhile, further up, Nico, you've got to say, is looking increasingly under pressure now with Larkin and Gary starting to loom in his rearview mirror.
Just one lap older tires, and you're seeing that effect now as Larkin is now honing in on him. Larkin's driving a very good race here, and he is not out of reach for a podium as well here, but he gets very close to the inside line at turn 9, and he turned over there. You can see he does not want to be picking up penalties there. Akolu now with a penalty. A lot of the drivers further down the order have picked up pens, unfortunately, in the early part of this race. Nico is driving well, but he's not driving well enough to get that DRS range of XL in front of him, so that's going to put him under pressure, and I think that's going to pay now as XL Larkin to the inside line. He's going to breeze past and up into 9th place. Larkin now into a net 4th position. As you can see, Packer, he got past out, but hasn't broken away. Slash is with him as now Matt's on the move. He gets the move done a bit cross. That extra tire grip is going to come into play, and I think in his first few laps, he's going to really be on the charge. He now chases down the other half of my line. Is it going to be 2 cars and 2 corners? He's going to try it down the inside of the turn 4. If he can get a bit more grip on the exit, he may yet see this through. Side by side now, heading into turn 6. Can he run round the outside? I don't think he will. He's going to give it a go, but no, gets cut off. Tries to get a better exit. That's seen him throw it off as well. But Matt has some good tire grip in the early stages of this stint, but the problem is, Aiden, as you mentioned before, he's going to really suffer at the back end of this stint. He's going to struggle with tire grip, and now the question is, Can he sustain that advantage throughout charging through the field? As the battle rages further up the road then, Larkin got through on Nico, and Nico seems to be holding up these guys, even a lap older tires in the car, but he's really struggling to sustain this pace, and now it's his teammate who I think is going to be the next driver to chase him down. Slash moves past Enema, and he has caught up to Packer somewhat, so he will have that DRS of the Alfa Romeo. Slash is in this race, it is game on for the race victory. These guys, there is almost nothing to choose between them.
I'm wondering whether Slash is thinking about saving some of his ERS and then going for it towards the end of the race. They've got such a gap now to the rest of the queue. Over 6 seconds to third place, man, which is Noon at the moment. And Noon's been caught very quickly by Larkin. So Larkin, now that he's in a little bit of clean air, he's got a lot of pace in that racing point. So now he looks like maybe the man who is best set to try and close in on those top two. It keeps changing, though. Every single lap, it feels like someone keeps getting faster on the next lap. One person who is struggling, though, is Kriko. He's losing pace to Gary in front, and Milan and Matt are starting to form in behind him. Milan, though, picks up, I think, his second penalty of the race now in that Haas, which is going to drop him quite a number of places as it stands. At the front of the field, though, we haven't quite mentioned them so far. Those that started on the mediums, J. Cole still leads this race. Vrikurik has closed in on him and has brought his teammates guys with him. Spag's a little bit separated, and they're now being caught by our net race leaders. So it's whether these guys on the mediums come in now for a set of hards or whether they extend for another 5 laps and go for the softs.
Oh, spinner Milan! Milan's going off on traction at turn 1 then. I'm not sure if he was hit from behind. Matt was raining in on him, but I think he may have just dropped that on his own and now down into 16th place. Gutting for IFR Milan. He recovers the car, but now he's dropped out of the train. You said, unless it's a safety car, he has very little chance of getting back within it. Now look at Larkin. As you mentioned, his pace in these hard tires, he seems to be really comfortable on him, and now he is getting up to the rear wing of the Ferrari, and a podium looms in for the former Division 1 driver, making a statement early on. Gary now picks up a penalty, and with the field so close, that could really make a difference. I think that Nico is regrouped though. He's got himself back together, and he's holding on now in this train pretty steadily, so the McLaren driver looks to have his teammate covered off for now, and Matt TU40 now has got to try and recover. He had one position giving him 2 for 3 from that spin from Milan. Now he's got to continue moving forward, chase down Kriko, who has looked a little bit weaker so far on these hard tires. So the hard tires have kind of changed the pecking order in terms of the pace that these guys have been showing in this everlasting battle seemingly over this third place. But are we going to get a decisive move, particularly from XL Larkin, who chases down on XL Noon now, looking to the inside lane, hangs back from the move. Is he going to get some good traction on the exit? I think that Noon overtake though from Larkin. You said he's going to try come at him then, and Noon now is not going to cover off the inside lane. I thought he was too far back, but he is not. He charges to the inside line, runs wide on the exit, and Noon getting back underneath. This battle is not over yet. They're going to go up towards turn 6, but no, Noon backs out of it. Larkin now has charged throughout the front half of this train. He's been sensational driving for the racing point. He now runs in 8th position on the road and about 3rd position when everyone comes in. But of course, when they come in, you're looking at that front group: Jaco, Rikurik, Skyzy, and Spag all running far up the field. And when those guys come in, you said that they're staying out this long. It's going to be Sobs to end the race. They're going to be quick. The question is, can they get amongst that fight and get a good haul of points here today?
The problem right now, though, for the top two is that Rikurik has all of a sudden really caught Jacob, is right up behind him, and he's got loads of ERS to play with as Rikurik. Is he going to try and think of a move towards 4? He's not close enough, so he's going to hang back for the time being. You can see, though, riding aboard the Renault, that front right tyre is looking pretty angry. That has not got a lot of grip left in it. As towards the back of the field, Matt going for a move on Kriko for 12th place, and I think he's got that move done. And now the McLarens are fighting. Gary trying to get a move done on Nico here, down towards turn 4, but I think he backs out of it. I think it'll be wise to leave Nico in front, especially considering Gary's got a penalty at this point. They don't need to keep fighting, otherwise it's just going to cost them both time. Matt up another place, but at the moment on those mediums, you've got to say he's not making enough progress at this time being. Is still running in about a net 7th or 8th place in this race. Those leaders, though, as well, when they come into the pit lane, the good thing for them is after a number of spins for a number of drivers, they are going to come out in a lot of clean air behind Arcolo, so they can push like mad on those soft compound tyres.
Yeah, I think you're going to be seeing them making some real inroads on this train, but where will they emerge relative to them? Now, those are the questions that we've got to ask. Up at the front, we've not really mentioned this battle much over the last few laps. Still, Packer and Slash going at it out there as Jim picks up a time penalty, unfortunately, a bit further down the field. But look at the charge of Slash. He has got the Alfa Romeo well within his sights, and they are catching the race leaders as well. As Rick getting very close to Jaco, but I think he's content to sit behind the racing point. He saved a heap of VRS that he can maybe use in the last stint. As further down the road. Slash going for the lead on Packer. Slash getting himself through on Packer. Was there a mistake? I didn't think he was close enough, but Slash getting the move done. And the Williams driver up into 5th place and critically up into the net lead. Packer has been in control of this race from the start, but Slash has looked a stronger driver on these cars. He lost out in the pit stops. He's caught and now he's past the Alfa Romeo. He gets up into the lead. The first victory eluded him for so long last season. Now he leads the way. The question is, can Packer get up towards it then? And Packer makes up a penalty. This lead battle has been turned completely on its head in this last lap.
And like you said, it was all Spag's gone off the road. He's got a puncture. Left rear puncture for Spag on lap 21. He couldn't make it. And he's got a punch. He's got to do a full lap with a rear puncture. That is such a shame for Spag. The other medium runner is going to run into trouble then. There on 20 lap. Spag loses the rear of the car right in front of Zaldimer. Gets away with it. He's got 2 punctures. Both left-hand side tyres are now punctured for Spag. He's going to have to crawl back to the pits to make that to the end of the race. But that is him completely out of contention. What a shame. Are the rest of the medium runners going to be able to hang on for the rest of this lap? If Spag can puncture that early on in the lap. And like you said, though, Slash looking stronger on these medium tyres. He caught Packer when he was out of DRS range. He's overtaken him. They are still comfortable to the drivers behind, but that penalty may be starting to sniff. Maybe Larkin might be sniffing a little bit of blood here from Packer. A little bit of a mistake. The penalty has come his way. In front, though, Slash is going to get held up by Skyzy here on the way into the pit lane, and that could give Packer the opportunity to come back at Slash down towards turn 1. Is he close enough to think about a move into turn 1? He's going to sit behind for the time being, but Slash doesn't have DRS. All the medium runners are in, so now it's a straight battle for the lead on track. Slash doesn't have DRS and Packer's right there, so and Slash a bit of a mistake there. I think Packer's going to go for it up towards turn 3 to the outside line. It's going to be the inside for 2 and then the outside for 3. Packer's got a great car in a straight line though as he heads up to the braking zone, and he breezes past without using any ERS. Slash has to give that move up. A little bit of mistake on traction out of turn 1. Packer's back into the lead, but he has that penalty looming over him.
The advantage that he does have is that he does have a lot more ERS. He needs to break the DRS if he wants any chance of winning this race. And I think that's Spag again. You have to sense the disappointment of getting that puncture as Rick sailing past Jaco straight at the pit lane. He was content to sit behind the whole way through, but now these guys have a real chance. Rick's only 3 seconds off the back of the train. He's still well within this race, and with no penalties, those soft tires are going to be rapid here. But they had to push right to the limit on those medium tyres, and it's Spag that got punished by that. And now he is virtually a lap down in this race. You have to feel for Spag. A lap ago, he was just in front of the race leaders, and as he comes out the pit lane, he's going to be just in front of them yet again, but a whole lap down in this race. Absolutely gutting for Spag. Just pushing the limits on those tyres has cost him dearly in this race. Packer and Slash still battling away behind. Packer is going to try and bridge that gap, but Slash is now in control of this race. He can just sit behind him, make sure he's keeping it on the track, and as it stands, he is on for the race win, and Packer's still on for P2 as the gap behind is pretty substantial, but you sense he's going to be absolutely gutted as now. We've got some overtakes then. Jaco moving back past Rick, and McCrass and Arcolo are going at it. Arcolo had a run at him, couldn't get through the hairpin. He's back in the slipstream, back in the toe, back with the DRS, but will not get through. He runs into the back of the Haas, trying to make the space for himself almost. That does not get through, but look at the pace that Rick and Jaco have. They've been battling on both the last laps. Rick's caught a second and a half in just over a lap. He is flying. The question is, can these guys get to the train? Rick and Jaco are not out of contention for a podium in this race.
He's already in DRS. He gained 0.8 of a second in turns 6 and 7 alone. He was so fast in the middle part of the lap on Arcolo with another penalty. He's already caught them as Recoric, so now it's all about, can he get through quickly? He's got to use the momentum that he's got. Close up to the back at 5.2. What a lap from Recuric, and he's now right in DRS range. He's got to use this momentum and get these moves done quickly, but Jacob was looking equally as fast. He wants as many places as well. Meanwhile, behind Milan and Juma battling in towards turn 1. A little bit wide there for Juma. Milan gets the place, but they're being caught by Skyzy and Zaldimer now on the soft tyres as well. Recuric right on the back, but not able to look at the traction though. Out of 3 for Recuric, and he's just going to breeze past Arcolo like he's not even there. Up into 10th place goes the runner. That wasn't even a contest. Recuric just had such a good run out of 3. I tell you what, it's not out of the question that Recuric could end up on the podium here because he's got no penalties. If he can get these tyres to the end of the race, this could be a stunning drive from 16th on the grid. Remember, this man started 16th. He's already inside the top 10 with at least another couple places on penalties. As it stands, he has got the world at his feet at this point. And I tell you one person, though, who's really going to struggle, and that is Matt. His mediums are already 10 laps old. He's got to do another 11 laps on them. He's really going to struggle towards the end of the race. He could be the cork in the bottle. Yeah, Rikurik breezes past Mikras now, and that's another place for Rikurik. He's making it look like he's driving against AI drivers. He's just breezing past, and now look at the run on Kriko out of turn 1 to the outside line. That's what saving ERS does for you. He saved his ERS in the first stint, is using it in the second stint. He's already up to 8th place. Matt's got a bit of a gap in front, so this could be easy as Gary, a bit of a mistake in front as well. Out of the corner, Matt didn't get the best of runs, and Rikurik on his ERS once again. It's going to be another place for Rikurik. He's already into 7th. He went from 10th to 7th in 4 corners. What a lap 25 this has been for Rikurik, already up to 7th place. This is a stellar strategy from the Renault driver.
It's like he's racing in a multi-class event. That is the easiest sequence of overtaking I think I've ever seen in league racing. That was phenomenal, and he is still charging. Larkin in P3 is only just up the road. His pace is so strong. I'm not going to get out of the question. He might even get P2 with Packard's penalty. Maybe I'm getting a bit too far ahead of myself, but the pace that he showed in that last lap alone was otherworldly. Now Jacob to try and do the same. Guy gets alongside Mikras to the inside down the straight. Will cruise past, but he's almost out of ERS, and so he's having a tougher time moving through this pack. Rick on the charge again, gets alongside Gary. There's no point of even getting hyped up about this, because the overtakes are just so seemingly effortless. We have yellows down the line, and Milan's out the race. He's retired in the pit lane. He's had enough, unfortunately, out there on the road. Rick is charging through so effortlessly. He looks as if he's in another league. This alternate strategy has put these guys right in it. Noon is getting close to Larkin, but do any of these guys have a defence? Now Jacob's moving past Kriko. The advantage these soft tyres hold is absolutely ungodly, and now surely Rick is over at podium. What a drive this has been from the rear of the field.
Absolutely stunning drive. I knew this alternate strategy was going to be strong. I didn't realise the soft tyres were going to be this strong. This is incredible pace from both of these drivers. J. Cole trying to follow Rick through. Hasn't been able to do the same so far, but he's still well into 9th place and has got a lot of drivers in front that he can overtake. Now Rikurik's got a chance of getting past Nico. Can he get this move done? Nico's using his ERS to try and get a move done on Noon. Larkin, since passing Noon, Larkin's not been able to pull away or even close in on the 2 in front.
Here he goes again.
Once again, out of turn 1. That is the spot for Rikurik. He gets such a run through turn 1 that no one can do anything about it. Up into the top 5 already is Rikurik. With 10 laps to go, as Nico runs into the back of him there, under braking. I think just a Constantino effect. Does Rikurik get away with it? I think he does. I think Nico got away with no damage, as Arcolo has now retired in the pit lane as well. It's been a disaster so far for some of these drivers. Milan, Dylan and Arcolo out of the races. J. Cole now gets a move done on Matt, and Mikras gets a move done on Kriko. Kriko's gone from 4th to 11th on these hard tyres. He has struggled so much, and I tell you what, it's not out of the question that Skyzy and Zalama could catch these guys.
I mean, you saw the pace that Rick has shown. So these soft tyres, they've clearly got a tremendous amount of speed and a tremendous amount of grip underneath them. We're coming now. Now, this race has flown by. The amount of action that we've had, we have now got 9 laps to go, and Noon is honing in on Larkin. He's saved a tremendous amount of ERS as well, so Rick may have a bit more trouble with this one. As Noon, though, himself going to try and go for a move from Larkin before they are inevitably caught, as Milan's out the session. His car, that's a Ricolo's car, sorry, parked at the side of the road now, as they all bunch up. Exil Noon is going to go for the podium move there. He runs to the outside of Larkin. Can he get it under the brakes? Larkin's going to cover it off. Hold the inside line. Noon's out of luck there on the outside line. And now Rick trying to follow through on the rear wing of the Ferrari. But Noon has so much VRS. It may not be enough though. As Rick to the inside line, he has so much more grip. He's got to be careful not to run into Larkin. He does so. And now himself and Exil Noon, 2 veterans of the lead, going side by side. But Rick, it is no contest. He cruises through into 4th position. What a stunning sequence of laps this has been for the Renault driver. This is why he's the Division 2 champion. What a recovery drive, and now he has third place right in front of him. He's used the majority of his ERS, but now he's rewarded because now he has the DRS to try and move through them. We're coming now on to the 29th lap of what has been a thrilling and enthralling Austrian Grand Prix. Now Rick in the slipstream. He doesn't want to go too early here. Larkin will get DRS to fight back at him, but you sense that Larkin, as Noon gets a crucial penalty, you sense that Larkin almost doesn't have a prayer to hold us back. I think there's contact there. Jacob, and that's Gary that's going off. Gary spearing off at the back of the train as the Rick moving up into the podium. That was spectacular. Rikurik from 16th on the grid to 3rd, get up 13th places. Unfortunately, Gary's going off further down the field. He spins off the track, and Zenova and Skyzy are battling. Skyzy, I don't think we mentioned it, he had to sag behind his teammate. He could be right up there making those moves as well. He is side by side. Now with Zenova going into turn 4, they both look up, fighting tooth and nail for this. The the Renault and the Ferrari. Nothing between them as they hit turn 6, but Skyzy will get through. Matty 40 now getting a penalty. Jekyll now on the move on Matt. This is stunning, but Rick, that is a spectacular piece of driving. 7 laps to go. Packer with a penalty. Is P2 even out the question for the Renault?
It surely isn't, as Larkin made a mistake out the final corner. Nunes threw up into 4th, but he does have a penalty looming over him. But that's already Rikurik out of DRS range. J. Cole's going to get the move done on Matt as well. Up into 7th place is J. Cole. Can J. Cole get on to Nico and try and get maybe a 4th place finish in this race as Gary picks up another penalty? So that's going to drop him further down the field. As it stands, is further in front. Kriko, I think, going for a move here. That's McCrass, sorry, going for a move on Kriko. Back up into 9th place goes the Haas driver. Kriko can't answer to that one into turn 3 and gets a poor run out the corner. Can't battle it back. I tell you what, I would like to personally apologise to Rick for basically writing him off in qualifying 16th on the grid. I wasn't expecting much. What a drive from the back of the field this has been from Rick. And who says you can't overtake in a DRS trainer? No, he's got a tyre advantage, but he drove past them like they weren't even there. Up into 3rd place, has already broken DRS. Noon can't do anything to get that back. I think the top 3, at least the top 3 drivers in this race, are pretty much set because of Noon's penalty. Larkin doesn't have the pace anymore. J. Cole's closing on these guys incredibly quickly as well. And Zaldimar's now only 2 seconds behind Gary, who's only 2.5 seconds behind Kriko, who's right behind McCrass, and they're battling as well. So I think Zaldimar and Skyzy still have a great opportunity to be well inside the top 10 by the end of this race.
The alternate strategy has completely mixed up the order here, giving these drivers that qualified lower down the opportunity to move through it. I tell you what, they have moved through it, and in spectacular fashion. Kriko, though, is back on the move, trying to recover after some poor pace in this stint. Moves back past McCrass, but the penalty is going to cost him dearly as it stands. McCrass coming back on the exit, looking left and then right, trying to get the move done. Now pulls to the outside line and back alongside the Alfa Romeo, trying to pull through, and he will get through. He reclaims that 9th position, as Noon, actually, you mentioned he's going to struggle to get back in. He's struggling, but he is trying to get back with it, but I think he's just a lot of VRS to try and stick with Rick throughout the last lap. Just try and get a bit more protection from the cars behind, and he's so tantalisingly close, but as they come over the line, I think he may just miss out on it, and he's not going to have the ERS, but he has the pace, I think, over everyone behind. He used that ERS to good effect in the last few laps. Larkin's now got to try and fight back, as now Jekyll is on the move. He's not got a penalty. He's got a good run at getting 4th place in this race. We're running out of laps. We've only got 5 laps to go. Jekyll's progress hasn't been as astonishingly fast as Rick was, but he's still moving through very, very solidly. And with Noon's penalty, he only needs to get Larkin and Nico if he wants that 4th position. He's right in the mix here, and you sense Larkin's probably not going to fight him too hard, but he gets a bit of oversteer on the turn 3. Just about holds on to it as a racing point. That's going to delay him though, and Nico will survive another lap. Can he keep holding him behind? And those soft tires are going to start going off in the last few laps, and the hards may come back into it. But for the moment, Jekyll still seems to have the grip. Can he pull through though and secure that 4th position?
I'm sure he can. He just needs to find the right opportunity. He doesn't want to try and make another mistake like that. Meanwhile, Zaldimar has cruised past Gary down towards turn 4 and is up into 11th place. Gary, after that spin, I think he's just cooked his heart and he's just dropping like a stone at this point. He's being caught now by Skyzy's June, picks up, I think, his 3rd penalty in this race. That's not going to help him at all in this battle that he's currently in. He's really going to struggle. Gary's going to drop out of the points, having run in the podium spot earlier on. No points for Gary in this race is a high possibility. That is such a shame. After such a strong pre-season, it's not going to be the opening round that Gary would have wanted. Up towards the front of the field, though, can Jekyll go for a move on Nico? I think Larkin actually might be thinking for a move on Noon here. Down towards turn 3, has a look, but isn't close enough on the brakes. Nico very late on the brakes as well, but can't get close enough to the back of the racing point. Has Larkin got the run? He has, though. Out of turn 3, Noon used all of his ERS to try and keep up with Rick. It hasn't worked, and Larkin can retake that 4th place on the road. Noon down into 5th place then, and with that penalty he will drop another place as it stands, as Crass and Kriko still going at it for 9th place, as Kriko trying to go round the outside. There's a little bit of contact between these two. I think Kriko's going to get the run down towards turn 6. He's got the inside line as well. He does get that move done. A nice one there from Kriko, but they are being caught hand over fist now by Zaldimar. Matt as well on those medium tyres, doing well to keep them in keep them in and not get a puncture, but he is just dropping off the back of this queue in front. J-Car will say he's got to get it moved on Nico now, though, if he wants to get that 4th place.
Yeah, but he is low on that ERS. Nico considerably higher, and I think Nico just in general has a faster car in a straight line. You've seen him down the straights then. I think he's made such a good impression. Jacob, great run through turn 1 on the entry, but on the exit that just denies him, just gets away from him, and he cannot quite get through. And a little update on the lead fight as we're running out of laps in this race. Just over 2 to go, and MMA Slash, he has come so close to victory on so many occasions. USA and Zambo stick out from last season where he was right in the hunt, he was right in the fight, but ultimately some bad luck or some bad racecraft has ultimately let him down. He has not put a foot wrong so far, and even though Packer's pace has been nothing short of phenomenal in this race, he is now, could be losing out that penalty. The question is though, is Slash going to keep it clean himself? 2 laps to go, and what has been an absolutely sensational Austrian Grand Prix. Now, we are nearing its conclusion. Are we going to see any more twists and turns in the final event here in Spielberg in the Red Bull Ring, and the final laps of what has been an enthralling opening race in the D2 season? Please keep watching. The viewing numbers have been astounding throughout the entire night. Thank you so much. And I think you're going to get treated to even more action there as Noon coming back at Larkin now. Larkin ran the limit, went through turn 1, so now the Ferrari to the inside line. Going now down into turn 3. He has the inside line. He has the move done. Does Excel Noon. He reclaims 4th against Oversteer on the exit, and Larkin might strike right back with DRS. He's going to cruise back through. Noon got through, but he made the error, and he's not getting that buffer that he needs onto Nico and Jekyll, who's set patiently in behind. Doesn't look like Jekyll's going to benefit from this. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to make anything of it as it stands. The soft tires just not showing the same pace as they did earlier on. He sits with the McLaren, but I don't think he'll get through. We're now starting the final lap very shortly. Packer leads it. He's driven superbly through the race, but that penalty will just cost him, I think. We head on to the final lap. Surely Slash does not lose this now. Packer over the line. He's come so tantalisingly close. He's going to need a miracle now to see it out. Just 10 corners left in this Austrian Grand Prix.
I'll tell you what, neither of these drivers won a race last season. That is absolutely incredible that they've come into Division 2 this season and are the 2 drivers at the front that have disappeared at the front of the field. That is absolutely incredible driving from both of these guys. But Packer's going to miss out possibly on his first win in D2 because of a penalty. Slash is losing pace here as Noon's going for another move on Larkin up towards turn 3 to the inside. Noon gets it done and basically he comes to a stop through turn 3. He's got no grip, but Larkin can't do anything about it. Can Larkin try and repass him down towards turn 4? He's not really got any ERS to battle with. He can't get to the inside line. Noon holds on to 4th, but it's all going to be in vain with that penalty. Well, right with the top 2, Packer on the final lap has broken DRS to Slash, who seems to start struggling now, but I think he's recognised that there's not really anything left to battle for. He just needs to keep it on the road. Packer has driven a sublime race today, though, despite not winning it because of penalties.
So now up to the line, QVR Packer, he's driven superbly all race, but it's just going to be in vain. To the line, Packer crosses first, but at last, MMA Slash is a race winner in LOE. He wins the ahead of Packer. What superb driving for the pair of them. Wrecking 3rd place. That is what champions do. 16th to 3rd, superb from Rick. Larkin 4th, Nico 5th, Jekyll 6th in the end. Noon's penalty drops him down to 7th from 3rd. From 4th, gutting for Excel Noon, but he does hold on in front of Matt and the Crass, who lost out by 100th of a second. Matt did superbly well to get those mediums to the end. We saw Spag punching them with 1 lap less on the tyres, so they're 8th and 9th. Zaunama is 10th on the end. Creco 11th, Skyzy 12th, Gary with a late spin in 13th, Nolan 14th, Jim 16th, Yorno will cross 16th. And yeah, we'll be Spag in 17th. And after that, I'm going to need to lie down. What an absolutely stunning race to kick off the season.
We said so many times before the season started that D2 might kill us this season, and they're already doing it in the first round. What a race that was, and I tell you what, that is not the result I was expecting coming into tonight. That is basically completely flipped to who I thought was going to be right at the front of the field. So many drivers who performed so well in the first round of the season, in the first pre-race, 2 season races of the season, were completely outshone in that race by Slash and Packer. You've got to say, in that race, I wasn't expecting them to be at the front. They were in a class of their own today.
Yeah, they broke away on the opening lap and they never looked like looking back. So really well driven for both these guys. But it may well be a track dependent thing. We will see, of course. They may well go on to repeat that battle and that showing up at the front of the field. But I suspect that we're going to be seeing different people challenging for the win at every single round. That is the nature of this field and how competitive it is. Slash wins it in the end. Packer, you've got to feel for him then. Crossed the line, got pole position, led almost every lap, did everything he needed to do, but just avoid those 3 warnings to give him the 3-second penalty that's cost him there. Rick, as I mentioned, Champions drive to third. Larkin, very solid drive to fourth. Got tapped round on the first lap, recovers to fourth well. Nico, ninth from fifth. Jaco, sixth from 13th. I think actually I said fifth from. I think I said fifth from ninth. Sorry, from Nico. That's a bit more accurate. Noon is seventh in the end. Matt, good tyre concentration, gets him eighth from McCrass, and Zerima, who rounded the top 10. Zerima, 10th from last, good drive as well. Craigo and Skyzy rounded the points finishers, and then Gary, Nolan, Hume, Giorno, Spag, Arcolo, Milan, and Dylan round out the drivers for today. And breathe.
And breathe, everyone watching at home. That's the first round of the season, and what a first round it was. I mean, I said Austria provides some sort of crazy races no matter what happens. It wasn't carnage like some races we've seen in the past. That was stellar racing pretty much from everyone throughout. I don't think I saw really any bad driver from anybody in that race. That was absolutely brilliant. And the race kept turning with every lap. I hope we just get to see even more of that throughout the season. And my, oh my, what a D2 grid we have this season.
I'm all but overwhelmed after a race like that. Absolutely stunning stuff then. That was Austria, and we still have a whole season ahead of us. What a way to kick things off. I know, I think I'm as terrified and excited as you are simultaneously based on what we have seen tonight. The next round of the championship, it comes to you from Silverstone, another classic iconic track. So keep an eye out for that. We do have a couple of things to run through though before we end the stream. I think, Aidan, you're going to invite, hopefully we can get the top 3 drivers in after that race, after what was tremendously action-packed. We can get those in and get their thoughts on what was an incredible race to watch.
Yeah, just trying to get those guys in now, so we'll hopefully get some feedback from them from that race, but I'm sure they're going to be a little bit out of breath after that one.
And as you're doing that then, I'm going to ask you a question. I think I know who you're going to go for here, but Mr. Aidan Carter, for hopefully the many times I'm going to ask you this all the way throughout the season, who was your driver of the day today?
Oh, God, it's so difficult because all of the top 3 really do have credentials really to take the driver of the day. I think as a driver pairing, both Slash and Packer really shone today as 2 drivers who didn't win at all last season. The fact that they were so far out in front in this round was absolutely crazy, but I think I'm going to have to give driver of the day to Rekurik from 16th on the grid. I all but wrote him off at the end of qualifying, and he does that. I think he heard me maybe and was trying to prove me wrong. That was absolutely brilliant stuff from Rekurik, and I think he's going to have to take my driver of the day.
Yeah, certainly. I think I have to agree with you there. It looked like he was struggling throughout that qualifying session, but yeah, fantastic recovery drive. Was aided by the alternate strategy, but even so, he drove that pretty much flawlessly, and of course was rewarded in the end. I think you've got all 3 of the drivers invited now, so we just need to hope that they get themselves in here. We can hear from at least one of them on their thoughts of that Grand Prix. So I think it's just a bit of a waiting game now to see what they're going to do. But before they join in, to kind of fill the time, what do you expect from the next round at Silverstone? For once, we haven't actually seen that track in action in pre-season, so we don't know how these guys fare around here. And like Austria, it's one where drivers can be so evenly matched. It was a stunner of a race last season. So I think yet again, you'll be seeing a very close grid then, as I think we'll be accustomed to seeing all the way throughout this season.
Yeah, really will. I think Silverstone is another one of those tracks, kind of like Austria, where there's such fine margins that really cost you, especially in qualifying and in the race. That track, everyone knows Silverstone pretty much inside out. It's such an iconic circuit that you know going into that track what you kind of need to do, and that makes the grid so tight. And it's another track that, despite there being only really 2 straights that mean anything around that circuit in terms of length and DRS, it's still really easy to be able to stick to the driver in front, and it really makes for a lot of close racing, and there's many overtaking opportunities at Silverstone, and the tyres as well around Silverstone, they really don't wear out that much, kind of like here where tyre wear isn't that much of an issue, so you can see a lot of people really pushing at Silverstone.
Yeah, it is quite a low deck circuit. I think we're going to get a phenomenal race again. As you mentioned, that DRS trades can build up very easily around there as well. We see it. We saw it last season's race. We saw it in season three. We even saw it the pre-season race for both those seasons. So yeah, I think you're definitely going to see a close field. But we're going to move on there because we have our top two drivers now in the party with us. Just to confirm, both you guys hear us?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and Packer, I'm pretty sure you're okay with this, but Slash, just make sure your is your voice on public so the audience can hear you as well.
We'll check that now.
Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, I guess we'll start with you, Packer. Of course, phenomenal driving. First of all, what on earth were you eating before that qualifying session? You put in a stunner of a lap. Then what went on there in that session? Because you didn't seem to put a foot wrong and never seemed to come under threat for that pole position.
Well, I didn't invalidate a lap, which kind of helped, but yeah, all four runs were valid, which is really nice. Ended up on a 3, which was my PB by 400th, so a really solid qualifying session to start off the season. And then, yeah, the race got pretty much a perfect start, and then just the penalty was a little bit unlucky, but Slash had an insane pace as well, and we were just able to pull, and then, yeah, the penalty dropped me down to second, but I'm not too mad about it. Highest finish in an LOE race in Division 2, so can't be mad.
Yeah, I don't think you can be in the slightest. You drove superbly all the way throughout. What was it like though, dueling away from Slash? Because it seemed like you guys that you didn't really, and I guess we'll hear Slash's point of view on this a bit later on. But it seemed as though you guys were content to sort of sit in a train with each other and just trade whenever one of you got close enough. Was that your intention, just not to battle with him too much and just try and get a good gap over the rest of the field?
Well, obviously, if we're gonna battle too much, I think we would have lost eventually at the end of the race, lost too much time to Rick. So I was just kind of letting him go because I was getting a little bit low on ERS, so I could have just sat behind, saved a little bit of fuel, saved a little bit of ERS, and then he ended up making a mistake at turn 1 on one of the exits, and I just got passed. So I don't know if it was in his playbook to let me through, but it happened, and then I ended up just staying that way for the rest of the race.
Yeah, and Aiden, do you have anything to add?
I really don't know what else to add because I think it is a really stellar performance from you, Pack. And like you say, your best performance, I would say, so far in LOE Division 2 by quite a way. I think you'd probably say yourself as well. Was there any thought in your mind of thinking, because you had a bit of a gap after that first stint, was there any thought in your mind of maybe going for the soft medium strategy instead of the soft hard to maybe try and give yourself an advantage over Slash, or did you think that strategy wasn't going to work for you?
It wasn't gonna work. I was on 75% crossing the line on my hards,
Oh, wow.
so there was, yeah, I had to do tire saving, 35 and 36 laps, but yeah, I was planned on doing soft hard the entire week, so yeah, I did that strategy and it played out pretty much to perfection except for the one pen.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Packer. I guess we're going to come to you next, Slash, as you were the next driver to jump in the party. First of all, I think the obvious question was, throughout last season, and USA springs to mind very quickly, you've come so close to clutching race victories, and they've just slipped away from you, mainly just down to a bit of rotten luck in some of the races, I'd say. So how does it feel to finally get over the line, secure that victory, and have, well, a near perfect start to kick off your season?
So happy. Before heading to this race, I wanted to like get redemption from last season. Because I remember last season I got a puncher on the last lap. So
Yeah.
I was hoping to get like a little revenge, or yeah, for this race. And then I think my start was okay. Didn't really gain anything to Packer, and then I had a little bit of a gap behind to Larkin, I think it was. And then after that, throughout the whole race, I would say, apart from when I overtake Packer, I was just staying behind him, just saving my ERS, because if I'm in front of him, I know I'll waste all my ERS. So the main plan was just to stay behind him, wait for him to get a penalty, and then try to get no pens the whole race.
Just another quick thing. You and Packer both pitted on the same lap, but you seem to get held up a little bit more in the pit lane. And so he did get a bit of a gap on you. Did you lose a bit of faith in that point of the race when he'd kind of got a bit of a gap on you, or were you confident that you had the speed and the pace to be able to fight back?
At first, I was scared because judging from qualifying, Paco was like another level. Like I was trying my best to get like a good lap in, but that was maximum I could have put. So when Sedema, I think, was in front of him, I was trying to catch up as fast as I can, because I knew if he would have overtaken him, I think he would have gone and waved to win the race. So that what saved me the race.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And Aidan, do you have anything else to add?
I think it's just going in maybe into Silverstone, obviously another track that's a really close one in terms of the field. I think we touched on it a little bit as well, Dan. That the field is probably going to change week by week as to who's at the front of the field. Do you think maybe Silverstone is a track where you can shine once again and maybe try and extend your championship lead, or is it somewhere that you're not quite as confident in?
I'm quite confident in Britain. I don't know what other people are setting their pace around there, but if I have like strong pace, I think I want to be in the front, but I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Massive congratulations on the race victory. And lastly, come to you, Rick. I haven't asked you yet, so just very quickly, can you hear us? Is your voice okay? And are you set to public so everyone can hear you?
Yeah, I think I am. You can hear me, right?
Yeah. Excellent. So, coming to you first, of course, coming through, you're defending your championship crown from last season, but you had a bit of a tough time of it in qualifying. What was it like, of course, starting a bit lower down the field than you're maybe used to, and were you confident that with that alternate strategy you'd be able to fight back and get good points in the race?
I bottled the quali. I aimed to be in top 5, and then I just had to do some kind of a lap at the end. It was good enough for P16, I think. And then I always knew that I was going to take softs, mediums first. And I knew softs are going to be fast at the end, but it was ridiculous how fast they were compared to the hard runners. And I was battling Skyzy, my teammate, and it was important to get ahead of him before the pit stops.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that you were really close, obviously, with Skyzy coming just before your pit stop. You were really close with J. Cole as well, and I think you jumped him. I don't know if you jumped him in the pit lane or passed him on the exit of the pit lane. How crucial do you think that was for your race to be able to get ahead of J. Cole?
Yeah, I felt like we had the similar pace, and I just saved my ERS and stayed behind him before the pit stops, and then I passed him after we came out of the pit lane, and it was really important because we were going to catch the guys anyways, and I wanted to be the first guy to do that.
Yeah. And I have to ask you this. How much fun was it overtaking those guys? Because I think it was around lap 25 or 26. When I said this on commentary, it looked like you were driving a multi-class race, how effortlessly you were overtaking everyone. So what was the experience like moving through that field? And when did it register to you that you could end this race with a podium?
I didn't think podium was possible after the pit stop, but it was fun, especially when I got to pass Gary and Killer. And who else was there? Larkin. It's been a long time since I raced against him. It was fun.
Absolutely fantastic, and I guess that's pretty much it then for our thoughts from our podium finishers. Thank you to all of you for your time, and congratulations to the trio of you. I suspect that you'll be back on form as well throughout the rest of the season. Can't wait for that. But I think that is going to just about round off everything we have for tonight. Viewing numbers again have been absolutely exceptional, so thank you all so much for tuning into the stream. But yeah, of course, please, keep that interest up, because we're going to be heading to Silverstone in a week's time. Should be another stunner of a race. And coming to you last, Aidan Carter, been an absolute pleasure commentating with you yet again. Any final words of this race, and what do you expect from the next one?
I think just repeating what I've said a couple of times already today, in that I am amazingly excited for D2, but also a little bit terrified for my voice. I think my voice might disappear at some point this season, but I am really, really excited for it. And one last thing as well, I'd like to sincerely apologise to Rick for completely writing you off at the end of qualifying. That was completely my mistake. That was an absolutely stellar drive from you as well to third place. So, yeah, I cannot wait for the rest of this season.
Absolutely, and there's me using your catchphrase. Would you look at that? So I guess that's going to be that is going to be it then for tonight. Thank you all very much for tuning in, and please as well watch next week's race. It should be an absolute cracker yet again. So, I think with everything said and done, I've been Daniel Hogarth. He's been Aidan Carter, and until next time, we'll see you later.